When we lawyers talk about employment liability claims, what we really mean is accidents at work. The important thing to understand about bringing an employment liability claim, that is a claim against your employer, is that these days the law imposes such a strong duty of care upon the employer that virtually any accident can be argued to be caused as a result of that breach. They're obliged to provide you with a safe system of work, a safe place of work, whatever personal protective equipment is required. They're basically obliged to ensure that accidents don't happen. And if an accident does happen, it's usually, in some sense or some measure, their fault, and therefore you are entitled to compensation. The breach of duty applies even where you feel, and in many cases where you were, actually partly to blame. Being partly to blame doesn't mean that you can't make a claim at all. It just means that in some circumstances the court may reduce that amount of claim so as to reflect your culpability. An example, for instance, is where an employer asks you to climb up a ladder and you subsequently fall off that ladder. Although the employer has a duty these days pretty much to make sure that you don't use a ladder, if you took it upon yourself to use that ladder, then a court would say, well, you are partly to blame for the accident and partly to blame for your own injuries, and they would then reduce the amount of compensation that you receive. Many people are reluctant to bring a claim against their employer. They think it's somehow disloyal, or it's not the done thing to claim against your employer. Well, it's important that people understand that employers, all employers, take out compulsory insurance to insure them against just this sort of thing happening. Most employers do not take these claims personally. They simply pass them on to their insurers. They don't feel that you're being disloyal, and it's just one of those things that unfortunately happens, and that's the reason they take out insurance. So if you've had an accident at work, just give us a call. We'll be able to explain whether you have the basis of a claim, and we'll give you some rough idea as to how much it's worth. We can't give you any specific figures until we've got proper medical evidence, but we'll at least be able to explain how the system works and to deal with any queries or any anxieties that you may have.
Choose the one.